The Christmas lights flickered across Sarah's tear-stained face as she stared out the window, wondering how she'd explain to her children that dinner tonight would be nothing more than crackers and peanut butter. If you've ever felt the weight of impossible choices, this story might just break your heart before it puts it back together. Like, subscribe, and join me on this journey that proves sometimes angels wear combat boots. 3 months ago, Sarah Miller had been planning Christmas dinner with her husband Mark. Now she sat alone at their kitchen table, bills piled high, the heat turned down to save money, while 6-year-old Emma and 8-year-old Jason played quietly in the living room. Mark's military funeral still haunted her dreams. His convoy in Afghanistan had been hit just weeks before his scheduled return home, leaving behind nothing but folded flags and hollow promises. "Mommy, when are we having Christmas dinner?" Emma's small voice broke through Sarah's thoughts. Her daughter stood in the doorway clutching the teddy bear Mark had sent her last Christmas, its camouflage outfit now worn from constant hugging. "Soon, sweetheart," Sarah lied, forcing a smile. The refrigerator behind her was nearly empty. Mark's military benefits were tied up in bureaucratic red tape, and the seasonal job she'd taken at the mall had ended last week. Christmas dinner was a luxury they couldn't afford this year. Jason appeared behind his sister, his eyes too serious for a child his age. "Dad would have made his special hot chocolate tonight," he said quietly. Sarah felt her composure cracking. Yes, he would have. She pulled both children into her arms, hoping they couldn't feel her trembling. "Why don't you two pick out a Christmas movie while I finish up in the kitchen?" Once they were gone, she allowed herself a moment of despair, one hand pressed against her mouth to muffle her sobs. The knock at the door startled her. Through the peephole, she saw a broad-shouldered man standing on her porch, his breath visible in the cold December air. Something about his stance, feet shoulder-width apart, hands visible, struck her as military. "Mrs. Miller," he called through the door. "I'm Alex Reeves. I served with Mark." Sarah hesitated, then opened the door a crack, security chains still in place. The man's face was weathered, with a scar running along his jawline, but his eyes were kind. "I'm sorry to show up unannounced," he said. "I was Mark's team leader. I promised him I'd check on you if..." He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. "How did you find us?" Sarah asked. Mark talked about this house constantly. The blue shutters, the oak tree in the front yard where he was going to build a treehouse. Alex's voice softened. "He loved you all so much." Sarah felt her defenses crumbling. This man had been with Mark in his final moments. Had heard his last words. Had perhaps carried him. "Come with me," Alex said suddenly, noticing her red-rimmed eyes and the dark, cold house behind her. "My team is having dinner at the base. There's more than enough food, and, well, we're all family, in a way." Sarah started to refuse. Pride was sometimes all she had left, but Emma appeared at her side. "Are you one of Daddy's soldiers?" the little girl asked, looking up at Alex with wide eyes. Alex knelt down to her level. "I sure am. Your dad was the bravest man I ever knew. Did you know he could make hot chocolate with marshmallows shaped like snowmen?" Emma asked. Alex smiled, though Sarah could see the pain behind it. "He made it for us once, in the middle of the desert. Said it was his special recipe." Jason had joined them now, studying Alex with cautious hope. "Do you know how to make it too?" "No," Alex admitted. "But I bet between all of us, we could figure it out." He looked up at Sarah. "Please. Come with me. No one should be alone on Christmas night." Sarah saw something in his eyes, not pity, but understanding. This man knew loss too. And perhaps he needed this as much as they did. "Let me get their coats," she whispered. What Sarah didn't know as they drove through the snowy streets was that Alex had been planning this visit for weeks. That Mark's last words had been about his family. That Alex had been carrying the weight of his promise like a physical burden. And she couldn't have known that waiting at the base wasn't just dinner, but 20 Navy SEALs who had pooled their resources to create Christmas for a fallen brother's family. There were presents for the children, gift cards for groceries and utilities disguised as Christmas cards, and job connections that would eventually lead Sarah to a stable position at the base administration office. As they walked into the warmly lit hall filled with the smells of a proper Christmas dinner, Jason looked up at Alex. "Did you do all this for us?" Alex shook his head. "Your dad did this. We're just delivering on his behalf." That night, as the children played with their new toys surrounded by men who shared stories of their father's courage and kindness, Sarah found herself sitting beside Alex, watching the scene with a heart that felt, for the first time in months, not quite so broken. "Mark made me promise something else," Alex said quietly. "He made me promise not to let you face the world alone. Not to let his kids grow up without someone to teach them the things he would have." "You don't owe us that," Sarah whispered. "It's not about owing," Alex replied. "It's about family. And Mark was right, you shouldn't have to do this alone." Over the months that followed, Alex became a fixture in their lives, helping Jason with his science project, teaching Emma to ride a bike, fixing the leaky roof Mark had planned to repair. He never tried to replace Mark, always keeping his memory alive through stories and traditions. And 3 years later, when Alex knelt before Sarah on Christmas Eve with a simple question and tears in his eyes, she knew that sometimes love doesn't replace what was lost, it builds something new beside it, with room enough for memories and hope alike. As the snow fell outside their window, with Emma and Jason hanging ornaments on the tree, Sarah realized that the family Mark had loved so fiercely had not ended with his death. It had simply grown in ways none of them could have imagined, bound together by promises kept and a love that reached beyond the grave. Sometimes the greatest gift isn't what we receive, but what we're able to give to others. And sometimes, the bravest thing we can do when our world has fallen apart is to let someone else help us put it back together. If this story touched your heart, remember that there are real military families facing similar struggles this holiday season. Like and subscribe to support more stories that honor their sacrifices, and consider reaching out to veterans organizations in your community. Because sometimes, the simple words, "Come with me," can change everything.